Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging headfirst into Hannah Grace's Icebreaker. It's a story that really throws two incredibly ambitious college athletes onto an unexpected collision course. We'll be navigating the first 7 chapters, basically seeing how that initial friction sparks some, well, surprising chemistry. So, on one side, you've got Anastasia Allen. She's the super dedicated figure skater from Maple Hills in her life, planned down to the absolute smallest detail for victory. And then there's Nathan Hawkins. He's the fearless captain of the hockey team, much more used to, solving problems as they just pop up. And the central idea here is that their worlds are just forced together. Their teams have to share the same ice rink because of some big misunderstanding. This totally disrupts Anastasia's very ordered life and leaves her, well, increasingly irritated by Nathan's charming, but let's be honest, completely annoying presence.
Right. And our mission in this deep dive is really to unpack that intricate dance between them. We want to reveal how Hannah Grace uses these really relatable everyday challenges, things like pressure or self-doubt, to explore those big universal themes, love, self-discovery. We'll see how the author makes these characters feel so real, making their journey resonate way beyond the pages.
Okay, let's dive right in then. Chapter 1, it just throws us straight into Anastasia's world, or Stas as she's called. We find her struggling through figure skating practice, she's nursing a hangover, and all under the very strict eye of Coach Aubrey Brady, who, by the way, is hilariously compared to a former Soviet spy.
That comparison tells you everything, doesn't it? The pressure is immense.
Exactly. It's this intense environment where she's under just huge pressure to land that quadruple Lutz jump. It feels like it immediately symbolizes her internal battle, right? Perfectionism, self-doubt.
Definitely. It's not just about the jump itself.
And what really struck me right from the start is how quickly we see her support system. The people around her. There's Aaron Carlisle, her skating partner. Their banter is very sibling-like, provides some much-needed comic relief. And Sabrina, her best friend and roommate, she adds humor, too, even while she's dealing with her own disappointments in performing arts. Even that sort of budding, no-strings-attached thing with Ryan Rothwell, the basketball player, it adds another layer, doesn't it? Tension around their goals.
It really does, and that support system is key.
So, considering how intense her world is, how crucial do you think that humor and camaraderie with Aaron and Sabrina is for coping?
Oh, it's absolutely crucial, that lighthearted banter you mentioned. Beneath it, the narrative immediately sets up Anastasia's deep internal struggles. The self-doubt is palpable. Like we said, the difficulty with the Lutz isn't just a plot point. It's a really powerful symbol of the relentless pressure she feels. And it really makes you think, doesn't it? How do people like Anastasia, who are so driven by personal ambition, find that grounding? That external support becomes vital, especially when their rigid plans inevitably hit the messiness of real life.
Yeah, that messiness is a good word for it. And that collision really kicks off in Chapter 2. The perspective shifts completely to Nathan Hawkins, the hockey captain. His day starts, well, differently. Foggy memory, sarcastic chat after a night he barely remembers. It hints at a much looser, maybe more impulsive lifestyle than Anastasia's.
A definite contrast, yeah.
Yeah. We get a quick look into his college life, his friendships, that easy camaraderie with his roommates, like Robbie, who's in a wheelchair but plays a huge part in the team dynamics. But that kind of carefree vibe, it quickly hits reality. Trouble's brewing. Nathan and his teammate JJ get called to the awards room. Uh-oh. That signals serious trouble coming from something their team did. And the chapter ends with Coach Faulkner just furious over major damage at the rink. It foreshadows discipline and really paints a picture of that, college sports prank culture.
And what's fascinating there, connecting it to the bigger picture, is how Nathan's early moments immediately bring up these critical themes: accountability, leadership in college sports, his actions, the team's incident. It underlines how reckless behavior, even if it comes from camaraderie, right? It can lead to pretty significant problems. It really challenges you to think about how far team loyalty goes when you're facing serious consequences. And it's such a different dynamic from Anastasia's more individual, rigid focus.
So true. Okay, so Nathan's world is also disrupted now because of his team's actions. Chapter 3 is where these two very different paths are basically forced to merge. This is where Anastasia's meticulously planned world really starts to spiral into chaos. Her day goes sideways when the director of sport, David Skinner, just cancels practice out of the blue. You can feel the tension at that all-student athlete meeting. Anastasia's instantly worried about repercussions for her team, especially with regionals coming up so soon.
The timing couldn't be worse for her.
Right. Ryan, her friend and sort of romantic interest, tries his best. He lightens the mood, playful banter, tells her to enjoy the moment. But it's tough. Director Skinner gives this stern speech about recent bad behavior among athletes. The anxiety in the room just ramps up, and then bam, the pivotal decision. The hockey and skating teams will have to share a rink. Why? Because of extensive damage directly linked to the hockey team's reputation.
Oof, you can just imagine Anastasia's reaction.
Oh, yeah. Pure dread, panic. She feels her entire preparation for regionals is just jeopardized, and her frustration with Coach Brady, it's palpable.
And this just perfectly illustrates that tension between control and chaos, doesn't it? Anastasia clings to her planner, that need for order. This sudden disruption forces her to face unpredictability head-on. It's everything she tries to avoid. And even the director's shift in demeanor, from stern to looking just plain worn out, it subtly shows the toll these things take, not just on the athletes, but on the people in charge trying to clean up the mess.
Yeah, you see the weight on everyone. So it's against this backdrop, this shared chaos, that Chapter 4 finally brings Nathan and Anastasia face to face at, well, a truly wild college party. How do you think that specific environment shaped their first real interaction?
Well, it's really compelling how Grace uses that chaotic party setting almost like a crucible for their first significant meeting. Nate, the hockey captain, he approaches Anastasia initially, but he's met with instant resistance, right? Her frustration over the whole rink situation is front and center.
Understandably.
Totally. But what's interesting is Nate's leadership style, even here. He takes a moment to deal with his teammate Russ about a complicated situation, really emphasizing open communication, supporting his friend, and as he navigates the party, finds some calm with his friend Summer and her roommate Briar. He sort of finds his footing again. Then when he encounters Anastasia again, the dynamic starts to shift. She's initially closed off, defensive, but through their sort of playful sparring, their banter, she gradually opens up a little. You see hints of chemistry, and it definitely piques Nate's interest. That humor really does act like a bridge in their strained first meeting, letting them lower their guards just a bit. And Nate's persistence, trying to connect even with someone as defensive as Anastasia, it really highlights the value of, well, empathy and patience, especially in that kind of crazy environment.
Right. So the party continues into Chapter 5, and the tensions, they really escalate for Anastasia. This chapter highlights the really damaging impact of misinformation and peer pressure. She's already grappling with guilt about the rink mess, especially since she told her new friend Tinkerbell nothing bad happened. Then the conflict with Aaron, her skating partner, just explodes. He gets really hostile towards Nate after Nate just touched her arm.
A seemingly small thing, but it triggers a big reaction.
Huge. Aaron makes these aggressive accusations about a supposed relationship between Stas and Nate, including a completely baseless pregnancy rumor.
Oh, that escalates quickly.
Doesn't it? Nate jumps in, defends Anastasia, says the rumor is false. But the whole confrontation just ramps up Anastasia's stress. She feels totally unsupported by Aaron. Now, Ryan's loyalty is shown here as a contrast. He offers help, talks about relationships, and encourages her to maybe see Nate's side of things. But that scene with Aaron, did you find his hostility in that rumor almost too much? Or does it feel like a realistic reflection of those intense college sports dynamics?
That's a really good question. It is a critical moment because this chapter dramatically shows how fast the ice under Anastasia can crack when that trust is broken. Aaron's misjudgment, probably fueled by peer pressure, maybe his own insecurities, it becomes this stark reminder. In competitive worlds, misinformation isn't just gossip. It's a direct threat to someone's focus, their goals. It really underscores how easily misunderstandings and assumptions can blow up into major conflict, hitting Anastasia right where it hurts her need for reliability and accountability in her team.
Yeah, it really shakes her foundation. Okay, Chapter 6 then flips back to Nathan, and it reveals the immense stress and pretty complex family dynamics he's juggling. It shows that even leaders carry heavy burdens. Nathan's stress is coming from a misunderstanding involving his teammate Russ and some related incident with their rivals, UCLA. This leads to strict discipline, even threats of expulsion from Coach Faulkner. It directly impacts Nathan's future hockey prospects in Vancouver.
So the stakes are really high for him, too.
Exactly. And we also get into his complicated relationship with his dad. His father projects his own unfulfilled dreams onto Nathan and his sister Sasha. You really feel Nathan's desire to just escape those expectations, carve his own path. We see him interacting with teammates like Robbie, who's mostly wrapped up in planning his surprise birthday party and seems to be developing feelings for Sabrina. And Nathan's also dealing with his own internal struggle about Anastasia. There's attraction, but also frustration, especially when his friends tease him about falling for girls who don't seem to reciprocate.
And what's truly fascinating there is Nathan's internal conflict. Like, balancing his own passions with family duties, navigating all those external expectations. His situation with the rumors again highlights that ripple effect misinformation can have. It just reinforces the need for accountability, clear communication. It really pushes us to think about how we define our own paths, separate from what others want for us, and the kind of emotional intelligence needed to manage those complex group dynamics, especially when you're under so much pressure yourself.
Definitely a lot on his plate. Okay, so finally, chapter 7. We see Anastasia navigating a very direct attempt to fix things. Mandatory icebreaker activities, which, nobody's thrilled about.
Force fun, always a winner.
Right. There's tension even before it starts. Robbie warns Nathan about Anastasia, suggests she has a cold heart, says she'll lead someone on. That really gets under Nathan's skin. Coach Brady announces the activities, saying they're designed to improve team dynamics. Coach Faulkner chips in, emphasizing respectful interaction. Anastasia's perspective is pretty clear. She is not enthusiastic. But she does think about Aaron's usually supportive attitude, her dreams of competing with him in pairs. We see her interactions during this speed date style activity. She meets Jaden Johal, chats with other hockey players. Some are flirtatious. One actually asks for help with coursework.
Practical.
Yeah, and an encounter with Russ, who's nervous but kind of endearing. Henry adds humor just by being sarcastic and napping through it. Now, you could argue these icebreakers are a bit of a convenient plot device to push them together.
Well, yeah, maybe a little. But they often happen in real life, too, these team-building things.
True. And Grace uses it well, I think. It shows how even forced situations can challenge our first impressions. It becomes this catalyst for maybe a little empathy and understanding.
Exactly. And Nathan's approach here is crucial. Despite the initial tension and Robbie's warning, he tries to reset things with Anastasia. He talks about their differences, the misunderstandings. He actually says he wants to be friends. And Anastasia, she cautiously agrees. She gives him a chance, but sets terms. It feels like a real turning point.
It does, a cautious step forward.
And that moment really hammers home how our initial perceptions can be completely upended by direct interaction. The icebreakers, even though they're forced, they do become this space for empathy. Anastasia's shift from anger and defensiveness to being willing, cautiously, to give Nathan a chance. It really shows how open communication, maybe even a genuine apology or attempted understanding, can break down walls. It helps lay the groundwork for new, potentially supportive relationships. It feels like a powerful moment of growth for both of them, even in that slightly contrived setting.
So wrapping up these first 7 chapters, what does it all mean? We've seen Anastasia and Nathan, these two really ambitious athletes, just thrown together by circumstance, by past mistakes. Their initial friction, which was fueled by misunderstandings, peer pressure, all those external expectations, it's gradually starting to give way to a cautious kind of understanding. Their story really highlights the complexities of navigating those competitive environments, managing personal goals, and just the ever-present drama of college life, all playing out against this backdrop of friendships that are constantly evolving.
Yeah, and if you connect that to the bigger picture, Icebreaker isn't just a sports romance. It's a really compelling look at how our early pressures and expectations shape us, and how sometimes true self-discovery really begins when our carefully planned worlds get unexpectedly smashed apart. It's a powerful reminder, I think, that authenticity, accountability, and just the courage to communicate openly, those are the real icebreakers. They're what can turn conflict into connection, even when goals seem totally opposed.
That's a great way to put it. So this deep dive leaves us with a compelling question for you, the listener, to mull over. In a world where first impressions and team loyalties can feel so incredibly strong, what does it actually take to look beyond that surface, to build a relationship based on real mutual understanding, especially when your own goals seem to be on a collision course?